they'll say, well, yeah, I feel you, this happened to you and it opened up these feelings. And some will say that's all you ever knew. Or they'll say that's the first thing you knew. And then I can walk away having persuaded everybody that comes into my path, telling them my story over and over again. Or I can use common sense beyond living down here among these people, doing whatever they want to do, acting like that in itself is a sense of faith. Or I can take responsibility and say, you know what? In spite of my past or my experiences in life, which is subject to other human beings, whether I accept it or not, I have to besides my path and besides my experiences in life, I still have to pick myself up and live according to common sense. Okay, you almost have to act as if you're a victim surviving. Okay, you either want to be a victim and lay down and die, or you want to get up and survive. Which one you want to do? Which one you want to do? You want to lay there like a victim all your life? Or you want to be healthy and live according to common sense? Because the bottom line is people say, well, this is another thing I tell people. The LGBTQ community is putting the pressure or the responsibility of reproduction on the straight community. They're putting the responsibility of reproduction between a male and a female. They're taking that response. Listen to what I'm saying. I thought about these things. Maybe you didn't. I confronted all these things. Maybe you did not. They're putting the responsibility on the heterosexual community to reproduce. What if we all wanted to be gay? What if we all wanted to be gay? So then subconsciously, you're putting the responsibility of making children on the heterosexual community. You're not doing it. Obviously not. You're not doing it. You're not reproducing. So then subconsciously, you're passing the responsibility to the heterosexual community to reproduce. And you can talk about sperm banks all day long, but here's what you don't realize. The whole human race cannot live and reproduce off of sperm banks. Yeah, you didn't think about that, did you? I know it's a blow to your whole philosophy. Because there's no way in the world, and you know it and I know it, we'll never be sophisticated enough for the entire human race to live off of sperm banks where women go in that are gay and get injected with sperm. The whole race of humans can't live off that. It's impossible. First of all countries are not going to allow sperm banks in that form and fashion. First of all, they're not going to allow gay women to do that. If they know you're gay, they're not going to allow you to do it. In certain countries, they just not. See, you haven't been smart about all of this. That's been the whole problem. You can get mad if you want to. You've been smart as a gay community about getting your money, getting your coins, and fighting for your rights. But you have not been smart about the common sense perspective about it, which is if we all were gay, then how will we reproduce? That's all I got to say. I myself was turned out at the age of 9 or 10 years old by an older male cousin. So you can't act like I'm some harsh, bitter, hateful man that does not understand where you come from. I understand exactly where you're coming from. I share one of the most original or authentic gay experiences that most gay people have. They got turned out when they were young. They got turned out when they were young. That's what most gay people went through, right or wrong. Everybody ain't late bloomers. You have them out there, but most gay people started out young. Most of them are attractive, and someone saw them that way when they were young. They saw their beauty when they were young. That basically. And some of them were so attractive, and I'm not saying this is a justification for it, but many gay people, whether men or women, a lot of them are extremely attractive. And this is part, if you look at the psychological part, this explains why the same sex is attracted to them. Because a lot of them were so much of a pretty boy, you made people wonder what it would be like. Okay? I understand all of that. I understand all of these things. That's what you have to realize when you talking to me. I understand all of that. However, it does not give me or you the right to override common sense, which is if I don't reproduce, if we don't reproduce as a human race, we will die, and that's it. That's common sense. I don't have to talk to you about my past. You don't have to talk to me about your past. That is the common sense approach and compass, therefore, to directing us to what is correct. Now, if you want to do what you want to do after that, I tell you just like a parent tells you. Go do what you want to do. But don't sit here and like I didn't show you what you're supposed to do. Don't sit here when you find out, however you find out, it's not the way, it's not what you should be doing, then you're going to think about what I said. When it fails you in some form or fashion, some of you getting HIV from it, that's a failure, right? They failed you right there. Well, I mean, you don't get it that easy in the straight community. Let's keep it 100. That's a failure. It failed you right there. You overlooked it because there was so many other people that was undetectable. You overlooked it. You got failed right there. You don't go to the straight community. Half of y'all that was straight before you was gay, you ain't have no STDs till you start being gay. That was my story. I ain't had no STDs till I started playing around in the gay community. And I always had unprotected sex. I was with complete strangers a lot of times, or people that I wasn't married to, or didn't know. I was with females I didn't know, not really, and didn't know what they were doing at all times, and I didn't get anything from them. I'm just now getting around to, getting an STD from a female, just now, at the age I am now, and that's all forgiven. But my point is, throughout my whole life up until now, I didn't have any STDs from no female. So that's a failure in itself. Keep it 100. That's kind of they failed you. Because half of them don't tell you that they got something. That's how that goes. They so selfish on getting what they want that they don't even tell you what they got. That part. So see, now I got to address the straight community. For you people that sit up and judge why everybody's gay, yeah, I got to get to you too. Why you got your mouth open, smiling and laughing. See, you don't know how it all happens all the time. You sit up and judge somebody, well, I just can't understand why a man would want to be with a man or a woman want to be with a woman. I just don't understand that. Well, I just explained it to you. And you may not believe that's a valid reason, but it is half of the time, over half of the time, the very reason why many people here in America are gay. They got turned out. They got turned out by somebody in their life, some person. They got turned out. Most of them are extremely attractive, and the boy or the girl that encountered them sexually found them as extremely attractive. They aroused attraction from even children, being children themselves. They aroused attraction from children. While some of you're at some of you heterosexuals are average looking. So therefore, when you was a child, you didn't arouse the sexuality of another child. You didn't arouse other children sexually. So it's easy for unattractive people to say, well, nobody never came on to me, because you are unattractive. Let's keep it 100. You look average. That's why no men really came on to you. That's why no women, if you're a woman, never came on to you. You look average. Okay? But for extremely attractive people, I guarantee you, here in America, more times than not, somebody tried them sexually when they were children. It's a fact. Why you acting like it's a strange thing? Why you acting like it's something bizarre? Most of the extremely attractive Americans share the same story. Women were coming on to me, males were coming on to me, females were coming on to me. Whether it's a man or woman, they would tell you both of them were coming on to me. Okay, there are certain people that have the story of arousing, even while they were children, they aroused other children in a sexual way. Okay, that's out of their control. They awakened just from their looks, not from anything they did initially. Just from their looks, they aroused the sexuality of other children. Now, this is something psychologists don't talk about, or human scientists don't talk about. But this is facts. There are some people that are that attractive that they awaken the curiosity of wild children, of other children, about sexuality. And more times than not, it is the males that are very attractive and the females that are extremely attractive. I'm talking about beautiful. By most people's standard, they're beautiful. Those type of people. On the average, everybody say they pretty, they look good. On the average. Those are the type of individuals that have the stories that I'm talking about. Where they aroused the sexuality of children. So, for all you straight people that act like you don't know about it, this is why half of you don't. Because half of you are average and common by looks and even by personality, and you don't have a clue about being extremely attractive and what that brings on. No, you don't. Well, if you are not extremely attractive, then you have not walked that path. Now, have you? You have not had those opportunities. Now, have you? You have not brought the attraction that extremely beautiful people bring. Now, have you? Okay, then you have no clue. Then it's something you can't even speak on. That's how I feel about it. So see, I have to balance it out. Because you have those straight people out there. I just don't understand. Yeah, that's very accurate of you. Now let me help you understand. You're average looking. So guess what? When you were a kid, you probably were more even average looking. You probably had no body. You probably didn't have anything that stuck out to anybody, and you were overlooked. Sexually speaking, you were overlooked. Sitting up here talking about you don't understand because it's not your path. It never was. You just now getting around to looking kind of cute, and really you just getting opportunities because if you're a woman, because that's why you have a vagina. So now you're gonna attract men because men are nasty, okay? But at the end of the day, you can't really speak on being gay because really you didn't arouse the sexuality of women or females. Now, same thing with guys. It's easy to sit up here and speculate and play hate. Why you say play hate? Sitting up here, well, hate, just giving hate. Scratch the player, you're just giving hate. When you haven't looked at that part. You haven't looked at that part. Okay, that's no homo. That's what you would say. That's a very attractive man. Okay? I give it to him. He's attractive. So what you think happened when he was a kid? When kids are going through their puberty, when kids are left alone to do whatever they want to do, and you are already saying he's attractive now as an adult, with a sound of mind, as an adult. So what do you think children with wandering, unsophisticated, undeveloped minds, what do you think they're going to do? That's what I'm saying. These are things you didn't consider. Okay, you find him attractive now. Is it far-fetched that he probably was attractive as a kid? Is it far-fetched that he probably was attractive as a kid? It's not far-fetched if he's attractive now, right? Not trying to make you look like an idiot. But if you say he's no homo, he's an attractive guy. That's how most straight men say it. No homo, he's an attractive guy. Okay, so then it's safe to assume that he probably was attractive as a kid, right? It's safe to assume that. Same guy, same person. Couldn't go too far from the looks he got now. And you don't think he aroused anybody's sexuality. And you're already saying he's attractive. You find need to say that. So what do you think undeveloped children, even males, are going to think and act on? They're going to experiment. And this is how it happens for a lot of men, boys and girls. This is the science that is real. This is the logistics of the gay lifestyle that is real. It's not an excuse. It's just understanding. Because you think everybody just hopped into being a gay guy, hopped into being a lesbian. And see, that's not me. And it's another good way, it's another good reason for me to bring it up. So that the LGBTQ community can understand. I totally understand the whole situation. You're not dealing with somebody that's dumb as rocks, sitting up here harping on, well, people shouldn't just be gay, people shouldn't be this. No, I'm not that type of person. That's not where I'm coming from. Okay? I am coming from a perspective of now being a Christian, after all my experiences, that this is what is not acceptable, okay, to God. And me using my own mind and realizing that we cannot reproduce without men and women, I also agree and understand what God is doing, or what God sees. Okay? It's common sense. God shouldn't have to tell you that you will all die if you don't have sex with a woman. He shouldn't have to humiliate you like that. To where you have to say, you have someone break that down to you. The most common sense part of it all. But that's what you need, and that's why I'm doing it now. Well, it's coming to that because everybody got all these excuses and stories They got stories that's similar to mine. They got stories identical to mine. But however, you are just a human in God's universe. You don't get to make the rules of the universe as a human. You're here, and I'm sorry that you had a bad experience in life. I'm sorry I had a bad experience in life. I'm sorry I got turned out. I'm sorry you did too. However, unfortunately, you are just another human with a bad experience in the universe. And that's the best way to put it. You're just another human with a bad experience down here on earth. A messed up situation, messed up circumstances, messed up things happen to you. And you can't just rise up and now you want to dictate what the rules are. You have to accept that you have just been, I don't want to say a victim, but you have just been subject to being someone's plaything because you was attractive. You've been attractive all your life and you've been somebody's plaything all your life. That's you, half of y'all story too. Most of you men and women that been gay, that are gay, you've been somebody's plaything all your life. Yeah, you know I'm right. You've been somebody's plaything all your life. So you can't call really anything king. I mean, let's keep it 100. That's why you're confused. Because you've been everybody's plaything. Me included. Me included. I've been everybody's plaything. Sexually speaking. And that's why I find it so funny if someone even questions whether I like adults or children sexually. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You can't be serious. Because as far as sexuality is definitely, as far as being an adult, the adult sexuality, that's one of my strong suits. I got tons of people that can vouch for what I do sexually. From coast to coast. From coast to coast. From California to Florida to New York and North Carolina. State to state. I got people that can vouch for how much of an adult I am. That's the worst thing you could have did, was insinuate that I'm a sex predator or something like that. That's the worst thing you could have did. There's a whole country that can vouch for. Literally, like I've been coast to coast. I've been all throughout California, all throughout Florida, all throughout North Carolina. Well, living in North Carolina. And throughout New York, people can vouch it right here. They know what I do. They know what I've done in the past. So it's like, that honestly was the worst thing you could have done. It don't matter what you come up with, what you heard. I told you what it was. And the fact that I got turned out at 19 years old, that would explain anything else questionable. That's what most psychologists would tell you. That's what most sex educators would tell you. Well, he got turned out 19 years old, so he probably was doing everything after that. Let's just put it like this. The potential to do everything sexually is very high after something happened to you very young. Therefore, that validates the real reason why you're acting out and doing things sexually. It's not because something is wrong with you. You got turned out young. So that would be the reason, whether you want to accept it or not. You can make a million scenarios. But if the person got turned out young, unfortunately, your scenarios are not going to fit. The real reason is exactly that. That person got turned out young, and it explains everything else that happened after that. And that's the 7. That's the epiphany of thought right there. And like I said, most people would tell you that. People don't just wake up doing stuff. Not normal people. And but some of you will say, well, that person must have been bipolar to do that. That person must have had schizophrenia or something. Not necessarily. You can't always blame mental sickness for sexual activity either. You can't always blame that. Sometimes they got turned out. In my case, I got turned out. So how can you blame a kid that got turned out? You see what I'm saying? So it throws everything else out. Although you might not like it, what some kids do, although you may not be feeling it, it throws it all out if you're thinking about children and their innocence when you realize the person that you're accusing or playing around was actually a child that got turned out themselves. Then that's where you have compassion if you really care about children. You're going to have compassion on the child in that person that got turned out. That's a 7. If you really care about children, you're going to have compassion for the child and the child history in that person that was turned out sexually as a child. You're going to have compassion for that. And that's going to throw out everything else because it's going to explain everything else. That's a 7. It's just time for ignorant people. The whole summary of all of this video, it's time for ignorant people to take the back seat in this country, in politics, in everything. It's time for ignorant people, uneducated people, people that don't use common sense all over the board. They don't think about the whole spectrum of anything. They just think about one part of the spectrum. They don't fluctuate, vacillate throughout the whole spectrum of sexuality and all of this. And they just sit there in this one little square of a spectrum and all their life, sitting up ignorant as can be, stupid as can be, confused as can be. When you're not scared of the truth, you will vacillate and fluctuate. Okay? You will do that. And then you will come to the truth, the facts, and common sense. In other words, you can't make a puzzle based off of one puzzle piece. You can look at that puzzle piece, it might be magnificent, it may be beautiful, but the only way you're going to see the whole portrait of the puzzle, which half of y'all don't do on anything, on any subject of anything, whether it be race, whether it be whatever it is, black history, past, present, future, white racism, past, present, future. You got pieces of puzzles. You don't have the whole puzzle. And that's why you're sitting there like a person with one piece of puzzle. You waiting for all the puzzle pieces. That's what you're doing. And I'm showing you the whole puzzle. I'm showing you how people get turned out. That's the reason why, half the times, why you just thought somebody just was bent on being gay or a lesbian, half of them got turned out. And some of them are resentful towards the opposite sex as a result. Yeah, I had stuff happen from an older woman, that was not immediate family. I had, when I was 16, I had an older woman in the family do something to me. And I could have been resentful for what she did to me sexually. I could have been resentful towards females, thinking they're nasty, they're evil. I could have went with that. And that would have therefore more justified me being with guys. But instead of doing all of that, I decide to go with common sense. I decide to go with what is just common sense. You don't have to go any further. This is one of my quotes. In life, most things are common sense. God made it to where no matter who has the highest ego the highest IQ to the lowest IQ, God in his infinite wisdom did not base life off of IQ, which means you don't have to be the smartest person in order to be healthy in life and to survive through life and to even be successful in life. You don't have to be the most intelligent person. So life is not, God made life uh, outside of IQ of humanity. You don't have to be the smartest person to make it out here. So everything, therefore, God made everything based on common sense so that everybody could make it. If it was based on being high in IQ and almost a genius, then how would half of us make it? So therefore, the things that really matter in life, God has pushed them outside of high IQ to where most people can live and strive and survive even with an average IQ. So therefore, it's safe to say that life and what it consists of has been constructed based on common sense, which most men have, whether they have a high IQ or a low IQ. Most men have common sense. So if I explain to you that two male wolves